Okay, everyone's to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today, I have a really cool review for you from the brand Big Idea Design. They're an EDC gear company that started back in 2009. They're headquartered out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and manufactured out of China with globally sourced components. They're most known for their super adjustable EDC pens that can fit hundreds of different refills. And this watch was actually produced for them by RZE, a Singapore and Malaysia-based microbrand upstart most known for their capable range of adventure-forward titanium-crafted timepieces. In terms of the type of watch, I consider this an everyday adventure watch. Some key common characteristics and design language: when you're looking for something that can be worn every day, you're really just going to want that balance of sporty, legibility, and toughness, and kind of having all of those things is something that this watch absolutely has in spades. This is their TI Field Watch in the automatic spec, and it's really described as a minimal titanium watch that not only looks good but is also full of features such as a timer, and when they say timer, they don't mean just telling the time, but actually that bezel is a slide bezel, so you can actually use it as a timing bezel, which is very cool. I'm looking forward to showing you guys that. But you're also getting a day date window as well as bright lume that can help you tackle daily tasks. You can get this for $4.99 direct from Big Idea Design, and I don't think it's too bad of a deal. This thing is pretty nice, and of course, you know, I'm a big fan of RZE, and they make some quality products as well. So kind of you put together their design eye with RZE's manufacturing capabilities, and you're gonna get something really, really fun. So with that said, let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get this piece in hand, and take a closer look. Okay, guys, again, big shout out to Big Idea Design for sending this watch in for review. Also the pen. If you haven't watched the video, definitely check that out. This is one of their most recent iterations where actually all the adjustability in terms of the sizing is all done internally now, versus previously you kind of used to just have a fatter lower portion here that you would screw up or down essentially to get various lengths. So now all of that is done internally, which I think is pretty impressive. And of course we have to, you know, get the little, hey, there's a little eye there. Yeah, some of you might have caught that. Subliminals. So check out, this is not the strap that it comes on. It doesn't come with this compass either, but man, does it look good there. It actually comes on this strap, which is a little bit short for my larger wrist. But one thing I did want to show you guys, which I thought was pretty cool, is it comes in this kind of rad display. Check that out. Like, that is pretty awesome. And then, like, you know, you can even display it sliding across. You can display it closed, still kicked back though, and then, you know, when you want to actually wear the piece, crack it open. But I thought that was pretty cool. Again, it's just those little details that you just don't normally see. The nice finishing, of course, there. This thing's pretty cool. I could appreciate that. Like, it's not luxury by any means, but it is thoughtful. So very, very cool. And again, you know, this isn't the factory strap, but this one fits me better. This is actually from Haviston. You guys know that I love their stuff. And because of the way this is set up, of course, this is going to be a real strap monster. So yeah, let's get into the details, guys. So 40 millimeters in diameter, including the crown guards. It's really 39.5. From 2 to 8 o'clock if I measure it there, and it's only 13.5 millimeters, and that's including the crystal. Of course, if you just measured the case, it's a little bit thinner, but including the crystal, 13.5. Lug to lug is 46 millimeters. It's made out of grade 2 titanium, fully matte blasted finish there, and it looks darn good. That is very finely done. You can even see all of the little angles. There's still a nice amount of light play, even though this isn't like a brushed satinized finish and there's no high polished beveling or anything like that. You can still really appreciate all the contouring that's done on this very handsome case. And something some of you guys might have noticed, even at those harsh angles, this dial was extremely legible because it is double domed, meaning it has the curvature on the outside and the underside. So you're going to get very low distortion, if any, when you get to these harsh angles. Versus other watches, you're going to start seeing it almost, you know, become illegible, and you can still technically should be able to read the time at an angle like this, but depending on the cut of of the crystal. In this case, a really nicely done sapphire crystal. That's something you got to consider. It does have a layer of inner AR coating, but of course, being domed and having a matte black dial means that you're still going to catch some reflections. You can kind of see around the camera lens there, but in a real world scenario, this isn't bad at all, and especially considering how many people still are wearing Hamilton khaki field watches that have no inner AR coating at all, that are just super reflective. I don't know how that's something that's caught on in the more mainstream, but luckily you do get that here. A very cool feature, check this out. So the bezel is not a fixed bezel, it's a friction fit bi-directional bezel, so you can use this as a timing bezel, which I think is great. So right now it's a little strange, obviously, because you do have the minutes hand is at 12 perfectly, so measuring would be very easy from there. But let's say you want to do something within the hours and say, hey, look, in the next hour I want to go there, then boom. Or if you leave this here, you can say in 30 minutes, hey, check on the oven, right? And then you have that there. So whatever you're going to use it for, it's nice to have it. Let's say even if you were out in the wilderness and you didn't have a compass on your strap, you could even use your watch to figure out what direction, first where the sun is, figure out which hemisphere you're in, and point the hour hand that direction, and then bisect it to get south, and then figure out where north is on the opposite side. So very, very cool, again, feature that you could use. So yeah, I just like that. And then if you don't want to use it, guess what? It just disappears. You know what I mean? Like, it's just out of the way. There's not a bunch of notching. There's nothing that really makes you have a need to realign everything. So if it does get knocked and gets a little off course, I don't think it's really going to bother anybody too much. You could leave it off-centered if you wanted. You could leave it over by the crown if you wanted, just to kind of give you a little indicator to remind you where the date window is. So, yeah, I just thought this was really smart, and I'm surprised more people haven't tried doing something like that. I just think that was just pretty neat. All right. So you're getting the screw down crown. It does have the Big Idea Designs logo there as well. So that screw down crown means you're really going to ensure that 200 meters of water resistance is going to be intact at all times, as long as that crown is screwed in. Also, you can see drilled lugs, which is great, again, for strap changes, because this thing is really, an absolute strap monster. Although you cannot, actually, the reason why you can't is just because of the strap that's on there, but you can see here, check that out. It has a nice Seiko Instruments NH36A movement inside with a custom Big Idea design rotor. So if I can get that, there we go. Check that out. So that's back there. And you know what? The NH movement from Seiko isn't a bunch to look at or anything crazy. So I don't mind that it is still relatively hidden, to a certain extent. But very, very cool to have that option. And then if you have it on a two-piece strap, then you can enjoy looking at the movement. And honestly, within this price point, a lot of times it's fun just to have a mechanical watch, especially, hey, at under $500, just under 500 at $499. And you really can't expect a lot of decoration on that type of movement anyway within this price point, or thematically within this really cool angular look that's really rugged and outdoors oriented. Now, getting into the dial, as you can see, it is nicely matte textured with applied indices. You're getting that framed date window at the 3 o'clock, as well as Swiss Superluminova that does glow green. I don't know exactly which particular superluminova that they're using. I'm gonna guess C3, but it wasn't specified in the specs on the site, so I can't confirm that, but I will say that it definitely performs a lot like C3. And then again, 200 meters or 660 feet of water resistance, 20 millimeter lugs, and then it does typically come with 2 different straps. I only did receive, of course, the green NATO strap, but there's also normally another strap that it comes with, like a leather one, but they do have really cool matching titanium hardware. So that's pretty nice, but let's actually get this piece on the wrist and see how it wears. Okay guys, as you can see on my 7.5-inch wrist, this thing wears really fantastically. Really takes me back to my Marine Corps days, you know, strapping on the compass onto the strap. Of course, the nice titanium matte finishes all throughout, especially over this nice, you know, single pass, very rugged nylon strap from Haviston. So this looks really, really nice. You can see it lays nice and flat and thin. Of course, if I get my wrist a little bit too close to the camera, it's going to distort a bit and make it seem a bit bigger. So what I'll do is I'll keep my wrist nice and low and then just tighten the shot up so you guys can get a look at how this presents at a truer aspect ratio. You can see it's still quite tidy even on my large wrist. Without feeling undersized, because it does has so much wrist presence, as well as some really nice angles that really catch your eye and do play with light, even though it's not going to give away your position by having a bunch of reflective natures. It is going to play with the light and give you an idea of, you know, the contouring and those fine edges and lines when you are close enough to it. So with that said, let's actually go ahead, get this piece laid out for some loom shots, low light transition, and closing thoughts. All right, let's go ahead and hit the lights here. As you can see, very nice. I really like how they did that 12 o'clock position. You get there kind of the titanium you know, element there, and then of course if you do choose to add a little compass there on your strap, you're going to get a little bit of extra loom, which is a lot of fun. And you can see that that dial is really pumping the loom versus that compass, and that just goes to show that this actually does have a really nice extra level of execution there. So one thing I do like to work in it, of course, is my low light transition, because you're not always going to be out in the middle of a field enjoying direct sunlight. A lot of times you're going to be coming in and out of buildings, walking underneath overhangs, maybe hanging out underneath the shade of a tree or your favorite automobile. So it's nice to see what these colors, textures, and finishes render like in less than optimal lighting, to even include some harsh lighting, high contrast here that will typically, you know, kind of expose any type of production flaws or defects. But you can see here, very, very clean. The finishing is very, very nice, and just really, really crisp. I really dig that. That's one of the things, I guess I should have expected that from RZE, but it is always nice to see things, you know, with a remix in terms of the dial layout, the movement choice, the handset. I think they did a really good job kind of differentiating this, even adding a new level of functionality with that slide bezel. So very, very cool. All right, now in terms of closing thoughts, guys, on the wrist, really perfect Goldilocks sizing, super lightweight without feeling insubstantial or cheap. That is something to worry about when it comes to a titanium watch. But again, this is also a mechanical watch, so you're also going to get a little bit of heft there, as well as the beefy nature of this case. Even though it's quite small, it does have some really nice commanding features on it, and it does have a great wrist presence, even with the lighter material. So in terms of model variants, it's also available in a black coated case or with a solar quartz movement for $100 less. So that's pretty cool in terms of comparable models. There are other titanium filled watches you could get on bracelet. You know, here you don't really have that option, but then there's also tons you can also get that you know, come on straps and save a little bit of money as well. And I think this does, you know, feel like it's right within that same space as something like a Boulder Venture. And then, you know, but here, you know, the pricing difference is like the quartz model, you know, is going to wear a little bit smaller if you were to, you know, in terms of pricing, the Boulder Venture like the quartz model of this one is going to be around the same price as the automatic, but it would be a little bit smaller. So these are, I guess, a little bit more expensive. But if also, you know, if you're a fan of Big Idea Designs, then it's also kind of fun. You know, maybe these aren't just for anybody; they're more for the EDC crowd. And if it is, then it doesn't really matter what other models that are out there that have a different price if this is the item that you're looking for. And it definitely delivers from a spec you know, standpoint as well as the execution. So for me, guys, bottom line, it's always nice to kind of pair up EDC gear where the makers match, you know, so you don't so if you already do have some of Big Idea Designs pens or some of their other products, it's kind of cool to get that unrivaled fit within the type, you know, within that collection. You can kind of do that with Big Idea Design because they do have so many different accessories. Even the ones here don't really match, but the kind of fun thing is they kind of match in terms of the materials and finish. So they all kind of go together in a really fun way. And then, yeah, you throw in, of course, Big Idea Designs, their slim bolt action pen, and that, of course, is going to fit, you know, perfectly when you lay it all out there. So if you don't really have a lot of their products, I could easily see this capable and stylish little field watch leading to future purchases from Big Idea Designs, a very well curated catalog. So if you're just a watch nerd and you're watching this video because you wanted to see a titanium field watch, hey, you're probably going to want to also check out, you know, Big Idea Designs pens and all their other products as well. So with that said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like the video, please do hit like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.